host, the community activist, the one and only Georgia A. Allen. Good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
After you've been on your fashion spree, we all don't get that. So, you're looking marvelous. I thought you was I didn't know, I thought you might have been Wendy Williams returning.
Oh Lord, please don't compare me to her. That is the one talk show host. I'd rather be Sherry Shepherd.
Oh, sure,
I'd
Shepherd.
rather be Shirley, what is it? Underwood.
Shirley Underwood.
Let me be anybody but Wendy.
Oh, okay.
Anybody but Wendy.
Oh, okay.
She is not my cup of tea. But anyway.
Yeah.
For those of you who like Wendy, everybody have their likes and their dislikes. I don't want to offend nobody.
Oh no.
All of y'all out there that like Wendy, don't come at me, okay?
Yeah.
But you might not like what you get back.
All right.
All right. But anyway, I am Georgia F. Allen. And as always, it is Thursday, high noon. It's an exciting time. We're always excited about the show. Every week at 12 noon, we come to you and we bring you a conversation. We bring you a conversation for information, a conversation correction, as well as a conversation for transformation. And as always, we never, ever forget to thank our wonderful host, the person that makes this happen week after week after week, Mr. Henderson Vaughn, a.k.a. the Dream Maker. But those of us who have been here for a minute, we call him Captain 85 because he kept us moving on the dance floor over Hampton Roads. And man, oh man, did we have a good time back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
All righty. But today, my topic is, why hasn't Trump been jailed? And the reason why I'm bringing you this conversation is because it's really for our young people. And the reason why I say it's for our young people is simply because a lot of the laws that are on the books, the things that we have been doing in the past that not are always laws, but it's just something that people just automatically adhere to because that is the way things operated. So if you remember when someone was running for office for the presidency of the United States, they turned in their tax records. They let you know up front, okay, this is what I've paid in taxes. This is my background. This is my information. So we kind of had some idea about who this person was. We kind of had an idea about how their money was being spent. Well, along come this guy that decided that he don't follow any rules whatsoever. So every time there was a little teeny tiny hole in the documents or whatever, he slid right through. So if you want to know why he's not in jail, someone who has how many felony charges, indictments of felony charges? What we got? In 224 years of this nation's history, no American president or former president was indicted. None. Zero. 224 years. But this guy, he's always finding loopholes. He did it the whole time he was in New York. Every single solitary time they tried him on one issue or another, he slipped through the cracks. He got attorneys. Even when he didn't pay them, they found a loophole for him. Where he's continuing to do this. And I'm going to say to my young people, we need you to make sure this never, ever happens again. And you say, why are you calling on us? Because we did all the heavy lifting.
Right.
But as always, you don't always get perfect. So in this particular case, when it comes to that dude, and don't put your face up anymore because I might get sick and I don't want to get sick today.
Okay.
But I think everybody know who we're talking about when we say the orange dude or when we say Pillsbury Doughboy. I think most people understand who we are referring to. So for our young people, it's your time. Now is your time to make sure that you make laws, they're in writing, that they don't have loopholes and things going on, so that we can make sure we never, ever, ever have to have a situation like the orange dude again. Okay. So this is why I feel that this show is for you. Important lessons to learn. Do not rely on the Justice Department to put together a rule. A rule is not law, it's just a rule. Okay. And part of the reason why we're dealing with the situation we're in is because there were rules, but there were not laws to uphold the rules that was on the books. And so that is why we are experiencing the situation that we are experiencing now. To the listening audience out there, I am not an attorney, so don't sit here and come after me. Well, it could be this way or that way or the other. I'm just giving you some basic information. Simply here to provide some information, a background, so that our young people can do better than we did. And this is critically important at this particular time, because if you've been watching the news, you have seen that the orange guy and all of his minions have decided that he wants to be in office so that he can control everything. Every department, he wants each and every department to report directly to him. Mm-hmm. That way he can cut staff if he wants to. So all of you folks who are out there working for the government and say, I'm a this or I'm a that, you may not have a job if so-and-so gets back in office. So keep that in mind. That military, he hates the military. You know why we know? Because he hated John McCain, and he made it perfectly clear. All right. It's really hard to believe. And I didn't like a lot of John McCain's policies, but it's really hard to believe that somebody has the nerve to serve or sit. I can't say he served. Sit in public housing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, where the taxpayer is paying for the rent, not rent, but paying all the utilities, paying for your car service, paying for the Air Force One, paying for the helicopter, paying for all of this, and you sit in public housing and dismissive of someone who was willing to put their life on the line for your freedom. For your freedom, Mr. Orange Dude. And you notice I don't use M-A-N, I say dude. Okay. And that is intentional. Believe me, it is intentional. So why isn't he in jail? Because Justice Department rules does not necessarily mean law. So there wasn't anything in particular when they said, well, we don't think you should try and indict someone while they're in the White House. It didn't say you can't. It just says, well, we don't feel like you should. And so they use should to mean no. So what we need from you, young people, and put that vote sign up again. We need you guys to get out there and vote. Hello. The other thing we need you guys to do is we need you to run for office. We need you to change laws, set in place legislation, and fix that which is broken, fix that which is not perfect, and improve upon it, because you're never going to get to perfect, but we can get to better. Okay, so my lessons for you today is you have the power. I just listened to Joy and Reed, and she was talking about the age group, the 18 to 20-year-old, the 18 to 30-year-old, and the Black community has one of the largest population of young people.
Hello.
Under 30. One of the largest, 30 and under, 35 and under. We have one of the largest populations. So it's in your hands, young people. It is in your hands to make sure that the orange man go to jail. that he gets locked up. It's in your hands, and it's in your hands by the way you vote. It's in your hand by how much power you put in the hands of people who can sign legislation, get it across the finish line. Because having these this House and this Senate, that one is controlled by one group, one is controlled by another group, and one is barely controlled by the other group. They don't have 2/3 majority. So that means that if anything is a tiebreaker, you got to go back to the vice president and get the vice president to break the tie. So you need a larger majority for the people who are helping you to get the things that you want across the finish line. Now, are they getting everything across the finish line? No, but they never have.
Right.
Regardless of the party that's in charge, they have never gotten everything up across the finish line. But over time, things that you care about, you ultimately see it become a reality. Ask the folks that decided they didn't want people to have abortions. 30 years. They didn't stop voting for their folks. They kept on voting and kept on voting and kept on voting. And guess what? Eventually, they got what they wanted. Now, for those of you who stopped voting, who got angry, who got mad, who decided, oh, well, they didn't pass what I wanted to pass, so therefore I'm just not going to vote. Well, guess what? Those guys voted against your interests.
Yeah.
All of you young people who wanted that college forgiveness, the debt forgiveness, when you sat at home and you didn't vote, the other folks said, no, we don't want to pass that piece of legislation.
Yeah.
So when they got control in 2022, when they got control in 2022, guess what? They voted no.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, you have sitting in the White House right now someone who believes that there should be some debt forgiveness. So he used the power of the presidency to forgive some of the debt with a stroke of the pen.
Right.
So the orange man still ain't in jail. The orange dude still ain't in jail. And I'm focusing on him because I'm telling you that this impacts you every single day when the orange dude is not in jail. Because you have sisters and brothers. You have moms and dads. And I guarantee if somebody had filed 34 felony charges and been indicted, your cousins, your mom, your brother, your dad, they would be sitting in jail right now.
Hello?
I Googled. I said, is there a mugshot? I Googled. Was he placed in handcuffs? I Googled. Was he fingerprinted? And the only thing they said probably did happen is he probably got fingerprinted. But he did not get in his handcuffs. He did not get a mugshot. Tell me how many of your sisters and brothers and your cousins can commit a crime such as stealing a bag of potato chips. And if the store owner want to file charges against you, tell me how many of you will not have a mugshot, not be in handcuffs, and not be fingerprinted. How many? But the orange man is still not in jail. The orange dude is still not in jail. And you should be concerned about that. Especially now that he's decided that and got his minions around him. And they said, well, we want him reelected. We want him back in the White House. And when he gets in the White House, we don't want anybody telling us what we can and cannot do. Now, keep in mind, these are the businesses.
Right.
They don't want any legislation. They don't want anything telling them that they need to have good policy as it pertains to their employees. So if the employees are injured, they are compensated, or their employees are injured, there's workers' compensation. They don't want any of that. They don't want any rules or regulations. As a matter of fact, they want to lay off a boatload of people in all of the federal government. That includes the Department of Interior, the Department of Justice, the Department of Housing, all of these departments, health, education, all of these departments. You've noticed how they've decided that they can't promote people in the military. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, them not promoting people in the military put us at a security risk. A security risk. Because you need someone over the Marines making sure that everybody is on one accord and that the decisions that are being made, that they go down the chain of command, and that we are therefore able to protect ourselves from enemies, both foreign and domestic.
All right.
The other thing is, some of those people that they're looking to continue to bring up the ranks look like us. Well, this dude out here in Alabama, one senator staying alone and just decide he's not going to I'm not letting those folks get anywhere. They're just going too far up the ladder. So I'm going to make up an excuse. I don't care what it is, anything, just to prevent them from going up the ladder. Here again, voting is important. How about voting that dude out of office, you guys, down in Alabama? So he doesn't have that power to prevent folks from being able to get promoted in our military. So he can't prevent them from being 3-star and 4-star generals. Vote them out. Vote them out. That's why, young people, you are so important. If ever there was a time that you need to use your Twitter and all of that social media that you have to get people engaged and understand what all of this means, now is that time. Now is that time. Because if you don't do it right now, if you don't do it in the upcoming elections, it is going to harm you for generations to come. And so it's so important. Today is simply a teachable moment. I'm just using it as time to talk to you openly and honestly about what's going on in this country. Just our time. I'm just talking to you as a friend to let you know that this is not a joke. This is not a joke. This is reality. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for listening. This is important. It is critically important that we all talk to our young people and get them engaged. We need to have 50% increase in voter participation, a 50% increase. And I know you can do it. I know you can do it. And you can turn every election in this country by just increasing your voter turnout. You can turn every election pretty much in this country. And guess what? When you turn those elections, don't go back home and sit down. Hold the people that you elected accountable.
Yep.
Hold them accountable. Because if you don't, the orange man going to get back in and he going to bring his folks with him. See that Supreme Court? That's because that orange dude was sitting on the chair. He was sitting in the chair. If you do not want to see the Supreme Court further eroded, you don't want the orange dude. You do not want the orange dude. Because I will assure you, if the orange dude go back and sit in that public housing again, he's going to increase the size of the Supreme Court. And when he does that, you won't be able to outvote nothing that they want. There will not be enough people to outvote anything that they want in place because it's a lifetime position. But he also can appoint on other federal benches lifetime judges as well. Right now, there's a judge who heard his case that he appointed, and she ruled in his favor all the time. She should have to recuse herself. So, young people, that's another law. Many of you are in law school right now. Sit down, put together the legislation, tweak it, talk to your representative, and ask them, is there anything else that we need to do to clean this up, to make it stronger? Talk to them. Find someone who's a partner to you, an advocate for you, and then put that through. And once it gets passed, send it all over the whole entire country. That's what they do all the time. They get one piece of legislation passed, and then they send it from state to state to state. Do the same thing. If you see something working, do it the same thing, just do it better. Just do it better. And if we want to make sure that things work in our favor, then we're going to have to do more than just vote once a year. Or in some states, you vote every other year. In the state of Commonwealth of Virginia, we vote every single year. So if you want things to change, you cannot sit on the bench. You have got to get in the game. If you don't want a broken system, then you're going to have to change the system. You will have to change the system. And where do you start? You start on the local level. So that just like we had the orange person in Washington, D.C., you don't get an orange dude in Virginia Beach or in Alexandria or down in Atlanta or in Tuscaloosa. You don't want an orange dude in those places either. So in order to prevent that, you got to fix this broken system. And how do you fix it? You vote. You change policies. You change legislation. But you start locally. And then you go to the state. And then you go nationally. And you follow the process again and again and again. Start locally, then go to state legislatures, and then you go nationally. And you will find in most instances, there are people on every level that have a partnership arrangement with one another in order to get things passed. They have partnerships. They work together. And if you make a mistake, they're there to tell you that, you know what, you want to tweak this over here. You want to change this over there. Because we can't keep doing what we've been doing if we want a different or a better outcome. We're going to have to do some things differently. What you got for me today?
Well,
Henderson.
Yeah, I was, since I don't want to change the topic, but you'll see it when you get off because Venus sent it. It's some of the things that we are always constantly facing, even in our community, that we have to be abreast of information as we continue to try to strive to do things for the Afro-American community in all cities, but most of all in Virginia Beach. We are constantly being put in a position of we are doing this, but it's going to be 5 years down the road. And what happened is with elections is we're going to do this, but it's going to be put back on the back burner. And you see that you're continuing to recycle the same problem all the way down to the people that was, fighting for the rights. They're no longer, they're either, now older and the new generation, and, I don't want to hear it because they on another kick. And next thing you know, the thing has disappeared. Oh, yeah, it was a great cause. As long as we can keep it on the back burner, don't bring it forward. So that's why they change judges. That's why they change laws, because once I change them, it's going to take you another 10 to 20 years to get back to where you were, not moving forward, but where you were. This is the system they use.
Absolutely.
So, and our young people must realize they're the only one that can really stop it. That's why we have all the violence. That's why we have all the guns in the community. That's how we have all the drugs. Because while you over here partying all the time, getting angry with each other, they are still stealing your legacy, because you're either gonna you're killing each other, pipeline to prison. It won't change until you change and step up and go to the poll and register. Ain't no such thing as my vote don't count, because Virginia had that problem, 2 or 3 elections ago, where they had to draw a straw.
Absolutely.
Change that. So we can't sit around and keep pretending, you know, it's a business. And the person that has the goal is going to make the rules until you cut down on giving them your goal.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's why I was applaud you for coming on and hosting this show, because I'm not educated in civil rights.
You are doing well. You do well.
I just know what I know. What I do is look at what's in front of me. As the late great former president of the NAACP, George Menz, he said, "Man, what are you talking about?" When we get to talking, and I'm saying, "Well," he said, "Man, look, keep your eye on the bullseye. Don't look to the right. Don't look to the left. Just stay focused."
Absolutely.
When they get you moving right and left, we are losing a generation.
Absolutely. You are so right on that. And that's the thing that I'm hoping by using these teachable moments, important lessons, each and every day we can share with our audience. I'm here once a week to share with our audience that, look, we have to look at the justice system in America. We have to learn these lessons. We can't just be dismissive when things don't work out. There's always a lesson to learn from something that may not have worked in your favor. Right. So now that you've seen it, what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit here and cry in your milk? Or are you going to get up and get in the fight? And again, we need people who are willing to run for office. We need people who are willing to work on campaigns. We need people who are willing to craft legislation. We need people who are willing to go to city council meetings, school board meetings. Currently, in our Commonwealth, we only have one African American on school board. Now, people would have you to believe that occurred because there was a change in the election process. So let me make myself very clear. That seat was not lost because of a change in the election process. That seat was lost because of partisan politics and the racist comments that was being made throughout the campaign. CRT, children's first, and every type of one line sound bite to confuse the electorate. Every type of messaging that could be used to bring out hate and anger was the reason that seat was lost. And also bear in mind, the seat was not a minority opportunity district seat. It was not an MOD. Okay. It was sitting in an area where it had a low population of Black people or other people. And so that seat was outnumbered. It was outnumbered. And if that person had ran citywide, they still would be outnumbered because of the messaging. And they were not the only one that lost a seat. Other people who were part of the same political party, they all lost their seats as well. So to suggest, because I want people to know, because you will see information like this floating from our city council members' mouths and from watching city council meetings, and you'll be saying, "Oh my, that we would have had that seat if the process had not changed, no, you would have probably lost the seat anyway, because of the way that the people ran their campaigns during the last election process. They ran as a block. So all of these people who felt like, I don't want my children to read these books in schools. I don't want my children to go to bathrooms with certain people, or I don't want my children to know anything about CRT. That was the message they ran on. They did not run on the message, I want excellence in our school system. That was nowhere in the message whatsoever. There wasn't a message about, I want to make sure that our teachers have the best resources so they can bring out the best in our children. That was not the message when they ran for office. They ran for office screaming and yelling and saying, these are the bad guys and we are the good guys. We look like your children. We live in a certain area and we are this, that, and the third. So don't get it twisted to the listening audience. And this can happen anywhere. And you've seen it happen anywhere and everywhere around the country. The messaging can cause people who you thought had common sense to jump on a train that's going straight to you know where. Okay? So let's be clear. The young lady that lost the seat did not lose the seat because of a change in the election system. That seat was lost because of the messaging that was out there that was divisive, that was hateful, and that was extremely misleading and misrepresented what was actually taking place in the Virginia Beach school systems. Because in our school systems, as well as in the school systems around the nation, CRT is not taught. But you had an orange dude who began this process of getting louder and louder and louder and louder with misinformation. You had an orange dude out there who said all types of things that he didn't have to defend. All he had to do was say it. And guess what? People went out and they repeated what he said. And they didn't just repeat it on a national level. They began to repeat that message in the local government. They began to repeat that message in the state government. And so they repeated that message anywhere and everywhere that they could find an audience. And they noticed that if they were loud and brash and brazen, that people were attracted to that type of behavior. It's unfortunate, but people are attracted to liars. People are attracted to cheaters. People are attracted to thieves. That's just part of the human nature. It's a feel-good type thing. Okay? If you tell a young person, go and steal that, the excitement, the intensity of going and trying to steal something and get away with it is more exciting than going to the store, here's your $5, buy your drink, and come on out. And I don't give a hoot what race, creed, color, or whatever. If it's a small child and you're teaching them that, you're going to get that outcome.
Yeah.
You are going to get that outcome. So here again, why hasn't Trump been jailed? Why hasn't the orange dude been jailed? He hasn't been jailed because we haven't done what we're supposed to do. We need to ask for the same treatment for the orange dude as we have for everybody else. There should be no difference in the justice system. The justice system should work the same across every race, creed, color, income, demographic, whatever. And until we operate in that mindset that we have a larger number than the few 1% at the top, they may have the most money on an individual basis, but we have the most money collectively. So we must operate as a collective. Again, it gets down to us having the ability and the strength to get out here and work hard on the local level and push the envelope until we get what we're supposed to have on every single level in government. And that's one of the things that we have not been doing and we have not done well. But I'm counting on my young people. I'm here today because I want you guys to know that you have the power to turn the justice system around, to make it a true justice system. You have the power to put ethics and integrity back into the government. And even when we had a government that didn't always do things the way we would have liked, we did not have this raggedy piece of government that we have today with this orange dude going back and forth. It reminds me of a scripture. Satan is going to and fro seeking who he can devour.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, young people and seniors, Satan is going to and fro seeking who he can devour. And if you've looked at what has been taking place over the last few years, it has been satanic in action and satanic in outcomes. And I'm not saying this to try to rattle the chains or get people all afraid or scared or whatever. I'm saying it to say you need to get in the game.
Yep.
You need to get in the game, and you need to stop sitting back and waiting for someone to fix an issue for you. Get in the game. Okay. All righty. The other reason why the orange dude has not been jailed, so we don't have any, I shouldn't say don't, we don't have a lot of real journalists. In the past, journalists had to go to school and get a degree. Journalists had to have some type of ethics. Today, we have stars and people who were formerly in all types of careers, and now they're sitting at a journalism desk. We have ex-politicians, some of whom were kicked out of office. They're now sitting at journalist desks. We no longer have the Max Robinsons or the David Brinkleys or the Chet Huntleys and the Walter Cronkites and the Peter Jennings and the Bernard Shaw, the John Chancellor, the Ida B. Wells, or the Carl T. Rowans, and more. We don't have those type of journalists sitting at the table or sitting at the news desk or sitting in the newspaper and writing documents and telling truth. We have this characterization and the exploitation, and we have all of this craziness going on without people literally sitting down and bringing accurate information to the public. And they're not following up with questions. If someone tells them a lie, and they know it to be a fact that that is a lie that they're being told, they don't follow up and say, no, that's not true. They said, well, why are you saying that? That's not a good question to ask a liar. The liar is going to say, I'm saying it because I believe it to be what I'm saying. That's all a liar is going to do. They're not going to correct when they lie, because then they got to admit that they did, in fact, tell a lie. So it's up to the journalists to make things right and to tell people truth. And this is not happening in a lot of instances. So therefore, the orange dude is still not in jail. The orange dude is still not in jail. So to all of the listening audience, wherever you may be, you need to push the judicial system. You need to be pushing the legislators and saying to them that you had to vote for some of these positions. And we need our judicial system to work the way it's supposed to work. That's why you see the scales. The scale's supposed to be bringing things into some type of balance. It's not supposed to be way down here or way up here. It's supposed to bring something into balance, meaning there should be justice at the end of the day. People should not be able to get away with things that we all know is illegal. Yeah. You should not be able to get away with having a boatload of classified information in your house. And I know because I had a top secret clearance, and I know that I had no authority to bring one classified document home to my house, much less hundreds. Right. Didn't have, no authority whatsoever. Again, if I needed a document, a classified document to review, I could not go and get that document alone. Somebody else had to be there as well. Okay. So when you see someone taking advantage of rules, not laws, not legislation, but rules, that's a problem. And you want to fix that now because you don't want this to be repetitive. Unfortunately, this orange dude has gotten away with way too much for way too long, and it's time to reel that in so that does not continue into generation after generation. And all of these folks who claim to be patriotic Americans, if you genuinely want to see this nation stay a republic with democratic rules and regulations, I suggest that you stop being loyal to the it person, and be loyal to the Constitution. Let me repeat that. If you claim you love your nation as much as you claim you love it, if you claim to be someone who takes an oath to the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution, I don't care if you're a police officer, a sheriff, a city council member, I don't care who you are. If you take that doggone oath, then I suggest, regardless of your political party or affiliation, or whether you're rich, poor, blue, green, purple, or orange, I suggest that you get up and you get busy and pull the country back from the brink, because let me tell you, it is headed for the brink. Because anytime someone tells you aloud and their friends are repeating the same thing, that we don't want any rules, that we don't want to follow any laws, that we want to be able to do whatever we want to do. If I want to build a factory over here, even though I did not get approval by my local government, because I am now in charge, because I have the most money, and it's money that counts, not the people. That little neighborhood that you had was so pristine and so pretty. It won't be your neighborhood anymore. Yep. Hear me clearly. That little neighborhood that's so pristine and pretty right now, it's not going to be your neighborhood anymore, because I have the money and I want your house and I want their house and that house, and I want that area. Dollars and cents will say, I get to buy it, and you can pack your bags and go wherever you want, because I could care less, because I don't follow any rules. I don't follow any laws. I don't live by any regulations, because I don't like regulations. I want to only be able to do what I want to do. And I want me and my buddies to have all the power and all the control. See how people are getting richer and richer? Yeah. And the rest of the folks, they can't catch up. Even when they start their own businesses that used to be able to grow and become multi-million-dollar businesses, It's taking it a lot longer.
Hello.
Okay. Now, there are instances, don't let me say that this is every single solitary business, because you know how folks are. They want to come for you. When you said it's not every single solitary business, okay? Hear me clearly. But in many instances, businesses that used to be able to grow and become mid-size or larger, it's much more difficult. As a matter of fact, most of the time they get swallowed up because the same people who have the most money, they swallow that business up so that they can now control that industry, so they can sell things overpriced and pay people under salaries because they have the power. So we're gonna have to do like what was it, Teddy Roosevelt? They had to bust up everything. We're gonna have to bust up everything. So young people, this message is for you today. We need you to come in here and bust up everything.
Hello.
We need you to come in here and we need to make sure that you are engaged, involved, and ready to go to work. It's important that you understand that this is all about you. This is about you. This is about whether or not you're going to be able to find a career or start a business. Because if it goes the way the orange dude and his crew wants things to go, they're going to tell you what businesses you can start. And if they hear that you're starting a business, before you can get it started, they're going to get their crew together and they're going to start that business and won't even allow you to get it started.
Hello.
This is reality. I'm not saying this stuff to scare you half to death. Go online and Google and listen to what the orange dude is working on doing in this country. He does want a dictatorship. He wants to have all power. He wants to go back into public housing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and he wants to stay there until he passes away. He does not want to have to run again. He wants to write a law that says he is in charge and in control, and nobody can tell him what he or his family can do, which means he's going to swallow up everything. And what you used to own, you will not own it anymore because it will belong to the dictator.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, play with him. Play with him. Play with him and see what that looks like. Because it's been done before. Remember Germany?
Hello.
Remember what Russia is looking like?
Hello.
Okay. Remember when they owned all of, it was called USSR, where they owned all of those different places, all those different countries, and they broke away from them because they all wanted to be independent. They wanted to be independent, so they broke away. That's why you have Ukraine over here, and that's why you have what is Slovakia, I think it is.
Yeah.
You have these different countries, Georgia. You have these different countries, and I'm not talking about my name. I'm talking about Georgia in Russia. That's why you have these different countries over there, because they decided that they did not want to be under one dictatorship. And if you keep sitting back and messing around, do you see what's going on in Florida?
Yeah.
The governor said, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. I thought it was a democracy. I thought the people were supposed to tell the government what they wanted and what they wanted to do. He's running around here telling, well, you can't teach this. You can't do this. Disney, you can't hire these people or have this type of event. I'm the governor. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm the dictator. I'm going to tell you what to do. You see it in Jackson, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. Even though the town is predominantly Black, you got folks over here that's saying, well, we want to decide who's going to be in charge. In charge? How you going to be over here deciding who's going to be in charge over here in my place? That is no different than you come into my house and tell me you want everything in my house, and then you take it over to the other house and say, well, because I have ownership of it now, it belongs to me. But you stole it out of my house.
Hello.
You stole it out of my house. So, folk, the orange dude has not been jailed because we don't have a strong enough legislator. We don't have a strong enough judges and strong enough Department of Justice and others who are supposed to be responsible for holding criminals, alleged criminals, accountable. So what you going to do about it, young people? You're going to wait until they come after you? Going to wait? Or you're going to get engaged? You're going to get involved? And don't be frustrated. Just fight. Don't be frustrated. Just focus. Because we need some focused fighters out here making a difference in your local government, your state government, and in the nation. That's what we need. We can't sit around here waiting and crying and being pitiful. The generations before us, they weren't pitiful. They built things. They owned things. And it was more than a house and a vehicle. They owned huge businesses. Remember John H. Johnson? Remember Earl Graves?
Mm-hmm.
They own mega businesses. And so we're going to have to get out of this mindset of tinkering around the edges. You got to get in the fight. Muhammad Ali was always a fighter. And I know we have to have some fighters out here. I know that we have to have some folks who are willing to get in that fight, who are willing to fight, even though sometimes people are against you, even though sometimes your own people are against you. A lot of people didn't like it when Muhammad Ali said, I no longer want to be Cassius Clay. A lot of people didn't like it when Muhammad Ali said, I will not go to Vietnam. He said, ain't no Vietnam people shot me. Ain't no Vietnam people called me nigger. Ain't no Vietnam people called me any nasty thing or mistreated me in any way, shape, or form. So why should I leave this country and go all the way over there to kill people that I don't know, I don't have a fight with? I can't justify that. Sometimes we have to get to a point where we have to understand we cannot justify foolishness. We cannot justify wrongdoing. But what we can justify is making sure that people who have done wrong are held accountable. So just because the orange dude ain't in jail now does not mean that we cannot pull together and make sure that he does go to jail. And one of the best things that we can do as a group, stop spending.
Hello.
Stop spending. You only have to have your basic needs. That's it. You don't have to have all these luxurious things. Guess what? Put that money to the side. You might be surprised in a few years you find out that you got all this money. Now you can put it toward other things of value. So now you're purchasing things of value that will grow in value instead of purchasing stuff that is like a car that the minute you drive it off the parking lot, it's dropped $10,000 in value.
Oh, yep.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, the show really was about our young people. It really was about um, taking a look at somebody who's done wrong, has gotten away with it again and again and again, and saying to ourselves and to each other, let's straighten out this mess. Let's stay focused and fixed and focused on changing outcomes. With that being said, we are coming to the end of the show. What happened? Time flew by.
Real quick. It always fly when you're having fun.
Time flew by. But anyway, I just wanted to just kind of, throw that out there today, because I think sometimes we really get way too complacent. We just kind of sit here and we're thinking that there's nothing that we can do. And I will assure you, as someone who has been fighting in the civil rights community for decades, you can actually make a difference when you get in the fight. And you can actually make a difference not only when you get in the fight, but when you actually fight. Yeah. As my girl says over in Portsmouth, they'll knock you out.
Hello.
Sometimes you're just going to have to knock them out. So with that being said, yes, we are talking about Senator Louise Lucas.
Yes. All right, yes. All right.
Yes. And so with that being said, it is my time to go. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you have a good weekend, and we will see you next week.
All right. Yes, of course. It's the community activist, GA4JUST-Is host. It's the one and only Georgia Allen. Thank you so much. A great show today. Very informative. And as you say, the future belongs to the youth. And they have to get out there on the battlefield if they want to keep, this going. Keep fighting. Well, don't forget to join us next Thursday right here at 12 until 1 on GA4JUST-Is with the community activist, Ms. Georgia Allen. And don't forget to share this on your social media platforms. And you can even text and email this to your close family friend. Nevertheless, until next week, this has been GA4JUST-Is with your host, community activist Georgia Allen on WVDM Network. Bye-bye, y'all.